Hi everyone, welcome back to Azure Content YouTube channel. In this video, we will learn how to create a REST API in Python using FastAPI framework. So before understanding the key features of FastAPI and how does the FastAPI works, and before jumping onto the demo part, we will understand what is the REST API that we are going to create using FastAPI framework. So you might be aware of what is REST API. REST API stands for representational representational state transfer API. Okay, and we all know what is an API. API is basically application programming interface. So what does that mean? In layman terms, we can understand by saying that REST API is the way in which client and server interacts over internet with the help of HTTP methods. So what are the HTTP methods? The different formats of HTTP methods are get method, post method, put method, and delete method. So suppose if you have to fetch some data, then we are going to use get method, and it is going to give us the response in the format of JSON data. So here is how it will return you the data when you give some request to the server. So that is about fetching the data using get method. And about post method, if you want to make some additional add on to the current data, which means if you want to add some additional data, then you will use post method. And then if you want to update some existing data, then you'll use put method. And of course, if you want to delete an existing data, then you will use delete method. So these are the four formats of HTTP protocols over which REST API works. So when we create a REST API, we will get a URL that we can hit over the internet, and we will get response by using that URL. So I hope that is clear what is a REST API. So now we will create a REST API using Python, and we will use FastAPI framework. The key features of this framework is it is very fast. It is one of the fastest Python framework available. It is used to build your APIs, and it is very easy to use. It's fast to code. It's very short and very robust. So these are the key features of using Fast API. So I have the demo code ready. So this is a sample code. I'll paste it in the description of this video, using which you can create a simple REST API, which will give you a hello world in return as a response. So we are basically using Fast API framework. So using this module, we will create the API. So first of all, of course, we have to import this module. So we are using from Fast API module, we are going to import this Fast API class. And similar to Fast API, we are also going to import uvicorn. Uvicorn is basically an ASGI server, which means asynchronous server gateway interface. It basically helps you to run your Fast API code and make the REST API available over the internet. So when we write this code using Fast API, it will basically run the code in our local. But uvicorn is the one which will help us to move the code into the browser and help us to get the response from the browser or the server. Okay. So basically, to get the web server access, we need ASGI server, which we will get using the uvicorn module. And then we will talk about union class later. So first of all, we will create an object of this Fast API class, and we are going to name this variable as app. So now using this object, we are going to decorate our function with the help of app.get method. And this slash means this is the root directory of the URL. And whenever the URL is hit on the root directory, then it is going to print hello world. So this is what it is going to return. And this is a very simple function. It's just going to return us the hello world JSON in the form of key value pair. And this is a get method. As we talked about, there are four methods in HTTP: get method, post method, put method, and delete method. We are going to fetch the data using get method, and the data is hello world. So this is what we want to see as an output in our REST API. And we will come to this second function later. Let me just comment it out. And then we are going to run this code using if name equals to main. This is basically going to ensure that our Python file is directly getting executed. Then only we will get the response. If it is imported in some other file, then it will not run the code. So since this is holding true for us, we are running the code directly. So whenever we will call this main.py file, then it will execute this code. Okay. So we are using uvicorn.run to run this app, and we are explicitly defining the host and port here. So this is the local host and port that we are going to get in the URL. So to run this code, we can simply say Python and then main.py. So let it get executed. It will give us the URL in which we will have the hello world printed. Okay. So here is the URL. You can see HTTP 127.0.0.1. This is the host which we are defining here. And then this is the port 5049. So let me hit on that and it will open the browser for us. And you can see this is giving us the output in the JSON format as expected. So this is the hello world output that we have written here. Okay, so now we will also test the second function. Let me uncomment this and let me remove this completely, and instead of running via this code called python main.py, we will use uvicorn in the command itself, okay, to run this code. So this second function that we have, it will have the URL with a dynamic parameter. So you can see this is a dynamic item ID that we are going to pass in the URL, and we are going to also pass an optional query parameter. Whenever you have to pass a query parameter, it will be separated by a question mark. So in this base URL, you will not have that query parameter. It's an optional. So you can give a question mark and then you can pass the value here. So the first item ID is an integer value that we have to pass. So the URL will be slash items slash 123 or anything. And then there will be a question mark, and then we can pass a string. You can see you can either pass string or you can just skip it, and you don't need to necessarily pass anything. If you pass something as a string, it will come as an output in a JSON like this. So the return value is item, and then query parameter will come as the second value here. Okay, so let me run this now using uvicorn command. So we will use uvicorn, and then we need to give the file name here. So our file name is main. So I'll give main, and then we have to give semicolon and then the variable name. So here the variable name is app. We can directly execute like this, or else what we can do is we can use reload command here. So what it will do is, if you directly make some changes in the code, you do not need to re-execute the code again. It will be on the fly. You can make changes to the code, and once you hit refresh into the browser, it will use the current code, okay, the latest code. And then we can also use the host and port here. So I'll give 127.0.0.1, and let me give port as same 5049, or let me give 5050. Okay, let's hit enter, and you can see this time we got the port number as 5050. So earlier it was 5049. So let me hit on this URL, and the base URL will still give us the hello world code. You can see hello world JSON is coming as the output, but if we add the additional URL here, that is item, and then you have to give the integer value for item ID. Suppose I give 1, and then I will give the query parameter by adding question mark, and you can see we have to pass string here. So I'll pass unknown, and if I hit enter, you can see it is returning item ID 1 and q equals to null. Okay, so it's, so here I'll give maybe 2, and then question mark. Let me give q equals to unknown. Yeah, so now it is coming fine. So here you can see we have to pass q equals to, and then we have to pass our string. So this is how we have to pass our query parameter. So suppose if I pass some other value, let me give the item value as maybe 5, and let me give q equals to Python. Then you can see the output is coming accordingly. Item ID equals to 5 and q, which is the query parameter, is holding value as Python because we have passed Python in the query parameter. So this is how we can create an API and we can execute our command using uvicorn. And one more interesting thing about FastAPI is that you get a Swagger URI if you use the FastAPI documentation. So which means you take this HTTP base URL, okay, and let me hit on that. And what I will do is, let me go to the browser, and here at the end I will use docs. So now you can see we get the Swagger UI, and here you can see all the methods present. All both of the methods are get method. First one is hello world, second one is read item. Okay, so if I see the first one, it is not asking for any parameter. It says no parameter, and if you try it out and if you hit on execute, you can see hello world is the response which we are getting as a JSON. And if we go to the next one, let me collapse this and expand the next one, which is having the dynamic parameter. Here we can add the item ID. Let me hit on try it out, and let me add say 10, and here I will say REST API, and let me hit on execute. So you can see the output is coming as expected. Item ID is 10 and the query parameter is coming as REST API. So this is the output that we are getting, and this is automatically coming using docs in the URL. So this comes very handy in FastAPI. I just had to use docs in the URL, and it gave me this Swagger UI where we can see in the output in a very user-friendly way. So to view this, either you can use the whole host name and port name slash docs, or you can go for local host and then give your port number 5050 and then slash docs. So this will also redirect to the same Swagger UI. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you got to know how to create a REST API using just a simple code using FastAPI framework, and using uvicorn how to run this FastAPI code, and how to use the get method to return the results in the browser, and how to use dynamic URLs by passing on dynamic parameters in the REST API, and also how to use the FastAPI documentation by passing the localhost slash docs and getting the Swagger UI to view your results. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope it was helpful. Please hit on like button and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet. Thank you.